I'm live. Okay, it says I'm live. It says I'm live. Can I hear me? No? Yes? Yes? I'm live. Okay, it says I'm live. Okay, there we go. Oh, I'm gonna replay the song. Sorry. And I'm gonna send out the thing so Cornbread can remind me. Is Cornbread here? Hey Zodberg, how's it going? Is anyone here? Well, anyway, I'm gonna send out a tweet. Guess we're still calling it a skeet on Blue Sky. That's true, right? Did it? I have no clue. Yes, it did. Okay. Hello, we have Javier Partello, Nathaniel Foger, Rat Boy, Mickey, Pup, Taco Master. I think I said Zodberg, Jordan Salafalo. Hello. Oh, Classic Camerons. Wait, is it still playing? How'd you know it was... I think I said Zodberg, Jordan... Squabble Up fan. How did you know that? That's it. Oh, because of the TikTok. I was like, what? Were you listening to me? That was so stupid. Okay. Hello, Classic Cameron. Super Dusky, Cornbread. Oh, okay. I don't know why the chat was being weird. Hello, K Masters. There's not a slow thing on here, I don't think. I didn't think I did anything. I hope I didn't. I hope it's not. Yeah, I forgot about the tick because they forced me to have a song on the story, and I was like, well, pick a song I like. I like that song. Oh, maybe. Which word? I didn't know which word you're saying. That's interesting. Hey, Anthony, how's it going? All right, so this is Movie Crap Live. We are here. I can show. I'm in the. Here we can swap over. Whoa! I'm here in the regular. I guess I don't know, the living room. Yes, it's been a interesting. I hope everyone had. Hey, Austin, how's it going? I hope everyone had a happy Thanksgiving. Yeah, had a good. It's been like 2 weeks since we've done a show. I'm too hot for this. I was like, okay, I'm gonna take this off. This, yeah, it's that kind of stream. Oh, okay. Hello, Bloxy says, okay, hold on. Sorry, Bloxy says, why isn't Kevin James on Adult Swim? Waste of time. First off, cheers to you. Yes, and I just did this again because it's been a weird week. I wanted to get one. I sort of like this ghost one, Swedish Fish, which Austin correctly guessed. I thought, and Cornbread actually didn't for once. So, I don't mean to revel in Cornbread not getting it. I thought I was just surprised. But have you checked out? Okay, hold on. But cheers to you. I think, you know what? I think Kevin James skits, they could make like a special of the YouTube ones. Or maybe he could have like a 6-episode thing with those guys. That was cool. Cheers to you, Bloxy. I should really have a segment, Kevin James News. Maybe I'll work on that next time. You had sour lemon today? Okay. Have you checked my skeets? Was I doing it right? What are your skeet? Well, I'm not going to... I'm curious what it is now. I do check it when I see them. I check them out. But cheers to you. I will check it out right now. Thank you, Austin. Hold on. What are you even talking about? I mean, you got the thing right. This time I'm going... Oh, it's a picture of Skeet Ulrich. How come no one's made that joke? That's good. Okay. That's funny. I'm gonna repost it right now. Who cares? Let's repost it. That was very funny. Okay, you got a chuckle out of me. Yes. Yeah, Blue Sky's cool, but I've noticed, and I might do like a poll or something somewhere. I've noticed that more people seem like when the Blue Sky thing was at its peak, like people were like, we're moving to Blue Sky. I was getting more interest. And now when I noticed when I send out a tweet, because my tweets, Twitter just became like promotional stuff, more people are liking those. So I'm a little confused. Where is everybody at this point? Not like I like Blue Sky, but maybe, I don't know. I'll maybe reassess a little, because if everyone's on the other thing, it seems a little silly. But we'll see. We'll see. I'm sort of liking Blue Sky more. I'm interacting with more people I like and stuff, so it's been neat. I feel like, but I don't know. We'll see how I reassess it. But yeah, since then, yeah, what I've been doing. Watched a ton of movies as always. Oh, I did something that, well, it was kind of stupid, I guess. But like we got a Christmas tree, which is a big Christmas tree, which is actually why like this angle's weird, because we had to move everything back. It's here, I'll show you real quick. It's like, can we show you? Yeah, this big thing goes all the way up there. Okay, let's. Okay, wait. Okay, so we have that. I just want to establish that. Okay, so I have this tree, and we couldn't. It's hard in New York because you have to get your tree like sort of back to your home, and I don't have a car, and we're like debating about the bus, and I just carried it back, which was 0.9 of a mile, which I think is I'm just gonna say it's a mile. I don't know if that's like 0.1 off, but I did it all by myself because everyone else went on the bus. Because kids, it's like you can't really have another person hold it. And I will say that literally sort of destroyed me. I was like, well, everyone else was putting stuff on the tree. I just fell asleep. And we cut off the end of it. But man, that like has kind of wrecked me for this. So this week is literally carrying that tree a mile was like intense. And we're not sure if the bus would have taken it or not. But I'm gonna assume it's not because of the pain that I have. But yeah, that's sort of why I haven't posted as much, because that's sort of, I don't know. My brother-in-law's a physical therapist, and I texted him, asked him for like advice, and he was like, "Yeah, your body's not supposed to do that." So yeah, that was but and the only reason I'm talking about it is because it. I don't know. I'm also like, that's kind of an accomplishment. That's like a thing I did. So I think I feel like I'm not really bragging. I'm more like, don't do that to yourself. And but yeah, as after we got back, I was like, I was pretty tired, and I definitely felt it. The next day was rough, and even today I was pushed myself, had to do a bunch, and I still kind of feel it. So I think my body's not not used to that. Never gonna do that. I don't know how I'm gonna get it back next year, but I'm not. Yeesh. Anyway, Cornbread is asking if I will shoot more by the Christmas tree. And I want to do another Muppet review. I have a Christmas horror movie I shot last year, a Christmas slasher. I'd like to do a couple of Christmas specials that are close to my heart, that I just want specials of, that no one's really reviewed on YouTube and stuff. Just like stuff like that. But I end up making too much Christmas content typically. I don't think, one year I did like 9 videos. I don't think I'm going to do that, but I would like to at least do a classic to me, a slasher, and Jim Henson. I feel like if I do at least that, and the one tonight is the Family Guy thing. Have you seen Amphibia? Your kids will like it. Taco Master, thank you for the super chat. I have seen it. No, you know what? I haven't seen. I'm talking bullshit here. I have not seen it, and you know what? Maybe we'll try it out. They like Carl the Collector. I don't know if I said that last time. Yeah, but yeah, they liked it. Anyway, cheers to you, Taco Master. I think we watched, not March of the Penguins, Happy Feet, I believe. Happy Feet's wild, man. Okay, other cool things. Sorry. This is the beginning of the show. They like Carl the Collector a lot. Sorry. Blah. Um, so I'm a little like blah from my body's just, and it was kind of a crazy day today and all that stuff. Who's your favorite character? We only watched no, I had to clean something, but I watched the one I reviewed with them. And they said they liked it and liked the way it looked, but they didn't. We need to watch more of it, but they're open to watching more of it. But sometimes with the shows I introduce them, I notice they think it's like one of my shows, and I'm like, no, this is like a cartoon for you. So I think I don't know if they think that. We have to figure that out. Anyway, okay. Thanksgiving was good. The parade was rained out. We had a good time. I made these coloring books for everyone. I think I tell people that I do that. And they were actually a hit. I don't know what happened to them since then. One's in here with Sophie's. But yeah, what I do is I like make so it in here? Oh, I'll just show you. I don't care. I make these like books, and it has like their name on it, and then I just print out various things they like. So she likes Descendants, stuff like that. She's like Wicked. Anyway, she's done a lot of these too. Anyway, that was like because we had to be inside the whole time, so I just like look up like Woody Woodpecker or Wicked or something like that. So tell your mom the kids are good. Also, let's see. I watched Star Wars with Oscar, which I was like, you know what, he's ready. I think if you anyone saw, I think I skeeted about it, but I said that he watched the whole thing. He was very into it, but he is very against grown-ups talking. He does not like watching grown-ups talk in any movie. If there's a part where they stop and talk, he's done. And he's like all into it. And as soon as they get to was it Yavin, I believe, he's like not interested in the Death Star plans. But then did like the whole Death Star where he like started playing with toys, and that's all going. He's not paying attention, and then he sees it explode, and then we had to rewind it. So I watched the Death Star thing twice, but he had a good time. But it was cool. But I don't think he can watch like Empire. I think I'm gonna keep it to the like Return of the Jedi, which I noticed like the trailers for those do not feature the Ewoks at all. Which I was like, maybe I don't know. I have two theories about that. One is the older fans have always been weird about the Ewoks, and the other one is that do people hate the Ewoks because they didn't like? Were there people that were unaware that Ewoks would be in the movie? That's my other theory. Like, is that possible? I might show just the episode 1 because it's like a kids one, and Jedi, but I don't know if I'd show any others beyond that because like Attack of the Clones is too wordy. Empire stuff, that's not really gonna work. So maybe when he's older, but although yeah, Clone Wars is awesome. Let's see, other thing. Oh, two more things. Sorry. The Cleus Sophitis Thanksgiving special had its 20th anniversary, although it is actually its 19th Thanksgiving because I did not actually finish that the year it came out for Thanksgiving, which I kind of forgot about until the day of Thanksgiving and went, oh shit, I should have done this better. Which I could have probably done that better, but yeah, it's kind of cool as the 20th anniversary of that Thanksgiving thing, so that was kind of neat, kind of surprised me there. As well as if you saw, I posted a Mystery Science Theater thing, which was also late, so it was like kind of funny. I've not been late on Thanksgiving content since 2004, so I guess 20th anniversary. So I made an episode, I think. I know that's always the thing. People are like, when are you going to do this? So I'd like to do those as well, and then I can do like the first two that aired and like other one. There's a lot of cool stuff there. So I'm going to hope I can continue that tradition. But I was happy I did 701 and 71T. It required more editing than I thought it would, so it did take longer. But I'm happy about that. Anyway, next up is Howard the Duck. What? Oh, because I watched that a lot as a kid, actually. All right, let's actually... what was I going to say? Okay. Video. I hope you like the Carl the Collector thing, the Mystery Science Theater thing. There will be more stuff. There'll be an actual review tomorrow. Don't worry. Throwbacks, I had Gremlins because it's the 40th anniversary of Gremlins, or it's the 40th anniversary, even though that came out in Christmas. It's like it's its 40th Christmas. So let's and might as well. I know it's not the oldest video to be in there, but I figured it should go in there. Tomorrow is going to be Interstellar because that is, I thought, was coming back to theaters and getting re-released and stuff like that. So, but it's that's the throwback tomorrow. And there's going to be a Christmas one, which I think is Christmas Evil. I'm not doing Silent Night, Deadly Night because apparently the Terrifier people, I think I said that last week. If I didn't, the Terrifier people are making their own version of Silent Night, Deadly Night, and they're hoping to get it out next year because it's the Christmas success of Terrifier 3, which I guess is technically a Christmas movie. So I was like, I'm not going to share it 2 years in a row. So Christmas Evil, I think, is the better movie anyway, but just to clarify, because I figured someone would ask me, why are you doing Gremlins and not so? Or maybe nobody cares. I don't know, but just to throw it out there. And yeah, there will definitely be stuff this weekend. Sorry, things got kind of like, I almost finished something last night, but then I started getting really sleepy and I was like, it's not going out. And so I think we'll see, but there'll be an actual new movie review. I know, crazy. All right, let's, sorry, I had too much to share. We also saw Moana too, and that was cool. I know that review will be soon as well. All right. So, let's all get into it. So this and everything I do is supported by you, the fans, either through my awesome Patreon, or through Super Chats during the show where I'll drink this energy drink here, which apparently will give me epic focus, and keep me awake and stuff. And then, will keep me awake and stuff. As well as helps me do stuff. The Patreon, I recently sent out the postcards. So if you're a patron, I've been better about that on time. Those went out before Thanksgiving, before the mail rush of Christmas and stuff. I need to figure out the Christmas card. I have some cool postcard things, and the last DVD or one of the DVD giveaways went out as well. And there's the commentary series, and there'll be another one coming up soon. So all sorts of exclusive stuff there, as well as you get access to stuff. It helps support the show. You get the postcards. You get more power in the movie review vote, which that's coming out. The November one is really late. It's coming out Sunday. All sorts of stuff like that is available to you. My grandma said, "What, Alex? For real? Did your grandma watch the Terrifiers? That's interesting." Anyway. Grandma's cool. All right. But yes, if you like me and everything I do and want me to continue to do so, the Patreon or the Super Chats during the show are great ways to do that. Of course, if you're financially able to do so. If not, just liking this video or subscribing or just watching, honestly, is really cool. But all of which helps me to continue to do what I do, as well as, all of that. Anyway, sorry, I'm a little bleh. But thank you very much. If you're financially able to do so, I very much appreciate it. As well as during the show, it gives me some energy for this long ass show. All right, as well as the Discord, which has all sorts of, it has an amazing community. We were talking about what other Switch games I should get for my kids this Christmas. We talked about Spotify Wrapped this week in the Daily Questions in general. I asked them what I should talk about tonight. All sorts of awesome stuff going on there. If you like the channel, really? Give a cool grandma, Alex. If you like the chat and while I'm doing this show, and you want to hang out with them, it's there 24 hours a day. I think they did a movie watch. They watched Tommy Two. They watched Tommy Two. They watched Hundreds of Beavers, which is on YouTube. I was going to recommend that, and this is the part of the show where I'm going to. It's on YouTube. It's free. You can go check it out. Please do so. And they're going to be watching The Grinch and the Charlie Brown special for their watch ticket. Hello, Dom Morai. I think I'm having a good night. I don't know. But anyway, you can go check that out. Very much showing us all sorts of cool stuff. As well as I actually have, since we're talking about Charlie Brown, I will, where are we? I will show, I have the new cards, so I will send these out soon. They will be in the, on the licensed playing card channel, all sorts of stuff like that. YouTube doesn't work in Canada? What? Anyway. I'm a little confused. Oh, is it like the hundreds of beavers isn't on YouTube in Canada? Maybe that's what he meant. Anyway, yes, I also am on TikTok, Blue Sky, Twitter, Instagram. All the things are down below. Tumblr, all sorts of stuff. All right, so, ooh. I didn't know Chuck Jones Grinch was on NBC. I watched NBC last night, and that Christmas thing that was way too long. All right, anyway, so before we really get into it, The Simpsons actually have a short on Disney Plus, which is the thing with that ultimately is I know, and for some reason I didn't know about this, or maybe I talked about it back in August, that they are planning to, much like Family Guy, have exclusive Simpsons episodes on Disney Plus, and that seems to be what they're moving towards with the TV shows they have the rights to. I'm a little surprised they don't just move The Simpsons off Fox and like say like, yeah, I don't know what contract they have or if they feel that it being on primetime TV helps it or something. I don't think that would be true. But I think yeah, it's interesting, but it's like, oh come all you faithful. I don't know if I'll review it, but it is interesting seeing them try to utilize Family Guy on utilize The Simpsons on Disney Plus, whereas Family Guy gets Hulu. But it's interesting they're trying to sort of market them and have them sent to certain audiences in different ways. So I think that's going to be, I don't know, it's kind of interesting how they're doing that. But I just thought I'd say that because it's a quick thing. We also got the Snow White live action trailer. Yeah, this was as per usual. I don't like it because I don't like live action remakes. There's certain aspects that I thought, Gal Gadot looks very good as Evil Queen. Like pretty perfect. What's her? Rachel Zegler, right? She looked good as Snow White, but everything else, including the dwarves, looked pretty horrible. I'm not really even sure what the point of this is, and I really didn't get like they changed Snow White to being like, it's not like this evil queen is just kind of crazy and weird and doesn't want this girl around. It's like that if the evil queen runs stuff, she'll be like a fascist, and then and if Snow White, she's like good to the people and stuff, which I was like, what? We're getting government involved in Snow White. I don't know. It seems like a very lame, like modern screenwriting thing. It's like, no, but I took this thing and it's like against the conservatives. And you're like, look, normally I'm okay with that. Like politically, we have no disagreements there. But, and I know like some of these people have been against this because the girl playing Snow White and stuff. I have no issues with that. I just think it's like, you took like a film that's like pretty momentous in the history of film, like in history of animation. It's like the first big success animated movie. Some would say the birth of a nation of animation. But what's funny about Birth of a Nation is next year it's 100th anniversary. Its 100th anniversary is I believe it's on Valentine's Day, so it's not like a horrible day to bring that up, but also in the middle of Black History Month. Like, Jesus. All right. But anyway, it looked, it just looked really boring, and I didn't understand, like I get wanting to do something new with it, so I'm a little like, okay, well, you're always like complaining they don't do anything interesting and all this stuff. But when I saw it, I was just like, I didn't really understand, like, well, she can't be like, the Gal Gadot thing and being like evil and like, doing what Evil Queen does, and be like, also she could be like a Nazi and stuff. And you're like, I mean, I guess that was sort of the time period, and I guess what you're sort of trying to do what like Del Toro did with Pinocchio, but like what Del Toro did was like radically change it and use the source material and like think of like how the original author was a political satirist, and like there's a lot of like research and intelligence and like reasons behind it. And then we look at this, and it just feels like they're like, I don't know, everybody's doesn't like fascists and stuff, and it's like I'm for it politically, whoever wrote it, or like it seems that way. I don't know about this movie, but it sort of doesn't work with the fantastical elements to me. But I don't know what they're going to change. I'm a little like, well, as I've thought about it, I'm a little slightly curious, but I'm like, how do you fuck up one of the most important things, especially for Disney as a company? Like it's pretty insane that they're just like I don't know, just like thinking like, well, we need to rebrand it. We need to keep making money. I mean, I would just like to see it in theaters. I have no clue why. Like in the era where I constantly see people going to repertory screenings, Disney doesn't take advantage of that, and yet up until I don't know, the 3D in the 2010s, they were doing that and making money, and I don't really get it. Wouldn't it be easier to just have like a couple Disney movies come out every year, like once a season? I think that would have worked better, to be honest, but probably would add up to the same amount. I don't know, if you had like Lion King and if you did a year and it's like all the Disney Renaissance, like the big four, I bet you could make as much as I don't know, whatever Snow White's gonna make. I don't know, I think you could if you marketed it right. It'd be a much more interesting experience than yeah. Oh yeah, the whole man, all the Snow White controversies have almost made like when the trailer came out, I was like, okay, we're getting this done with, because it really does feel like we're all like, I don't know. Yeah, I didn't understand that. What Peter Dinklage was more saying is like it was offensive how they did it and the dwarf story, and like he's like, because I think a lot of them were like, we don't have a problem with that movie. That movie's from the 30s. But your continued use of it is our issue with it, and it's like, I don't know. I don't get this movie. I don't get the live action things, and it's not interesting, and it whatever. All right, so we got another Sonic 3 trailer. It looked cool. We got to see it in the theater before Moana, and it looked fun. I mean, all the Sonic 3 trailers have looked cool, but having like Shadow team up with, I don't know, all that stuff looks fun. I don't think there's much to add other than I'm hyped. I'm excited to go with the family and all that stuff. So, but the bigger thing, and somehow this got past me, and this is one the Discord told me, and I forget who it was. Whoever wants to, you can take your credit correctly. Is the Baltimore Ravens did a commercial for Craven, which honestly I forget when that comes out. But there's one of the football players. I meant to send this to my dad, and I didn't. One of the football players is like super into Craven, like Craven the Hunter, and they decided to change their name to the Baltimore Cravens. I was unaware. You'd think I would have heard about this, but I somehow I didn't. I don't know. It's the 13th. It's coming out against. See, I'm seeing that Lord of the Rings thing. That is like, I'm very hyped for that. But maybe Craven. I don't know. It was very cringy, but it was also like, it's more cringy in that way where I was like, wait, is this real? Like it's a real thing. I was so confused. Like, wait, who's Al Vasquez? What? I'm confused now. I don't know. I just find it so bizarre. Like, why would you have? I don't know. But yeah, it's cringe in that way. You're like, this exists. Like, it's not cringe, it's cringe, but it's not. Anyway, we can stop saying cringe. I get it. We know words. I mean, Keanu was good as Duke Kaboom. I really like him as Duke Kaboom, and that was like we'd only had 2 John Wicks. No, wasn't that the summer of the 3rd John Wick? Was 2019 the 3rd John Wick? Anyway, I do like the idea of like, I heard in Pixar they screen movies and they're like, yo, we're gonna watch John Wick. Not that I would be more impressed if they watched the Terrifier 3. I don't know if that would. Although I think a lot of those people like horror. People like horror. Oh, thank you, Cornbread. I apologize. Thank you for clearing that up. I think you could go to the Lord of the Rings anime, Rat Boy Mickey. All right. So to actually talk about something that's in the thumbnail, I know, right? Well, no, I just did with Snow White. Sorry. Family Guy is coming back to Adult Swim on January 1st, and then every weeknight for an hour and a half. Goddamn. But for the first 3 nights of 2025, they're doing, basically it's a whole nights of Family Guy. I think this is great because that is how Family Guy came back. I think Adult Swim should be able to get some of that. I also think, like what I was talking about earlier with The Simpsons, is Disney is finding different ways to market both Family Guy and The Simpsons and differentiate them. And having that on back to Adult Swim, I'm sure helps them out, and it helps out Adult Swim. I'm surprised that Disney would help out, Warner Discovery or whatever the fuck, but they're doing it, and it's cool. But it is like it. I think it showed how powerful Adult Swim was, and it showed how necessary it was to get back Family Guy. I think they sort of, in a way, sort of need each other, and it makes sense. And I think it hasn't been that long. When did it leave? Like not that long ago. I guarantee you there are people who will go, "Oh, cool, Family Guy on Adult Swim. That's where I used to watch it." Like there are people. Like I saw someone in the chat earlier said it wasn't gonna like they didn't even realize it left, and like that's actually what I wrote in my notes. Like I bet you there are people who are gonna just like be at their mom's house and they don't have cable, and they're like, oh cool, Family Guy, oh yeah, I used to do this. And like I think it didn't leave for that long. I don't think it was that long, but I think it's cool that they got it back. I think they deserve it. But I think, I agree, they should have Futurama, King of the Hill. They should have all the shows they helped. Like I think those 3 especially became legendary because of Adult Swim. So, but it's awesome that it came back. I think that's cool. I think it's cool. Disney, an hour and a half of Family Guy. I think that's a bit too much, but whatever. I know that used to be how they would pay the bills to be able to make their other shows, but now they have Rick and Morty. So, yes. Sorry, let me get some water. And I should mention this. There's only going to be 3 shows this month. This week, next week, and the week after. And then I don't know if there'll be another show. I'm not sure when. So if you are wanting to show up live to these, you won't have that many chances until 2020. Those would be the last chances. So if you want to do a super chat, anything like that, that is the time. This is the time. So yeah. Yeah, I agree with you, Taco Master. I actually watched the Superman anime with my kids, with Sophie. So yeah. Wow, 2021. I would have guessed 2023. Saber. I worked on a Saber video about Family Guy and Adult Swim's relationship, and it was interesting. It was interesting, actually. But part of what brought back Family Guy was those DVD sales, and people wanted those DVDs because of Adult Swim. So, what I remember from this video I wrote years ago, or researched years ago, or whatever. All right. So, this is, I think, a bigger story because every time, and I've talked to animation, like actual animation historians, and we all go, it kind of sucks that all these companies like Universal, like Paramount, own all these classic characters like Felix the Cat, Woody Woodpecker. Universal has a lot of them, and they don't do anything with them, or they release like an obscure reboot version or some crap. And like I know so many different people, especially animation historians, who are like, well, what is... Oh, that's... My wife is drying her hair. Sorry, that's what that is. Apologies. I hope that's not too annoying. She was just drying her hair with the hairdryer. Apologies, everybody. Anyway, I try to... Anyway. Hey, But yeah, a lot of companies do this. They own a lot of classic cartoon characters, like Disney owns Oswald. What are they doing with Oswald? Warner owns the Looney Tunes. Are they doing anything with Looney Tunes? This happens with so many different companies, and it's annoying. So, if I had heard, if not, I wanted to specify this because I'm not a Ryan Reynolds fan. I'm not particularly a fan of even the screenwriter of this. However, Ryan Reynolds' maximum effort, which I don't really feel like he does for his acting, but maybe that's an ironic thing, and the writer Matt Lieberman have teamed up with Paramount Animation to make a Mighty Mouse movie. Now, Mighty Mouse, what the fuck is? I'll read that later. But SNL. Okay, sorry. Mighty Mouse is a big legacy character and is pretty big in the history of animation. I would say. Well, they are airing the Harvey cartoons on MeTV Tunes, which I'll talk about the marathons they had later. Anyway, okay, I think it stopped. Sorry, she did ask me before, and I said okay, so it's my fault really. But I think Mighty Mouse is a cool character. The original Mighty Mouse is fine. I like those, but I will say this: I think the New Adventures of Mighty Mouse that Ralph Bakshi did. I know I've done a review on it, and I talked about it when I made that 1988 The Year Animation Broke series that I did. But it is seriously like one of the big animated shows that really it started the auteurism in animated series. If you are arguing on Twitter or Blue Sky or Discord or wherever, and you're arguing over, whether it be Rebecca or Ian or Alex Hirsch or whomever, the New Adventures of Mighty Mouse is part of the reason, and I know two of those people would agree with me on that. Like I've asked them. So I do think if you're going to do a new Mighty Mouse, if I was Matt Lieberman, I don't think he's watching this, I would 100% say he should watch the New Adventures of Mighty Mouse. It is an interesting show. I think a lot of its legacy got fucked with a lot of the time. Because of the whole controversy stuff. But I hope they do something like that. You could do actually something really interesting. You don't have to do the John K stuff, but people probably forgot he was involved in that, so it's fine. I don't think Ryan Reynolds should play Mighty Mouse. I really hope he doesn't. I think, I don't actually know who you would get, but there's so many cool things you can do with Mighty Mouse. And you could do, a superhero parody. You could do a different thing. I just think if you're going to work on this, please watch that one. That's my only. I'm not asking you to do it. I'm just saying please watch it. Take some notes. That's all. I don't think that's You can come over. We'll watch it together if he really wants to. He also wrote the Christmas Chronicles. My kids watch tonight, which my kids will watch 1,000,000 times. Those fucking movies, Jesus. All right. Let me get Pete Davidson paid $3,000 an episode from the start. $3,000 an episode is pretty good, but Jason Sudeikis doesn't like it. Anyway, all right. I just found that to be a cool story because so many times, I literally talked to Tommy Stathis, who does the Cartoon Carnival, and we've talked about it a couple times. It's it's bullshit. What's going on with Felix? What's going on with this? And it's oh, they put the Twisted Tales of Felix on streaming. And they're that's cool that you do that, but there's probably a young animator who could make their name doing that reboot. I think that would be cool. So, all right, this is a story that is a much bigger deal, but because it happened before, Jason Schwartzman would be good. I like that one idea, Cornbread. This is a story I wanted to talk about because it is a big story, and I've noticed nobody's really, it's not getting what it should on that, and I think it says a lot of a thing about Apple and the industry and stuff like that. I know I've posted, let me just say posted. So I posted about it in places, and I did have it in the first kind of announcement of this stream, and I did get some feedback on that, or people were excited. So I want to talk about it. So John Watts, who most of you know for Cop Car and Clown, and I don't think he did anything else. Ha ha ha, I know. He did the Spider-Man movies. He directed No Way Home. I get it. But he also directed Wolves on Apple with George Clooney and Brad Pitt, which are probably oh yeah, I remember there were trailers for that, and then I don't know anyone who saw it. Which I feel like Sinram, if anyone, I don't mean to call out Sinram as the number one Wolves fan, but I think he probably saw that or something. But I was planning on seeing it, but then they took it out of theaters and moved it on Apple Plus. But Apparently that cost them, because even though Wolves has become like, I think, their biggest movie in terms of viewership ever for Apple Plus or Apple TV or whatever the fuck it is, they yeah, that I know. What was that? Hold on, I'll be right back. Hey, everything is okay. Just something broke. I need to go clean it. Like a light bulb fell off a Christmas light. I just need to vacuum it up so nobody steps on it. I will be right back. Apologies. Live show, things happen. Everything is okay. Okay. I am back. Really? The creative engineer is creating a show at Disney? I didn't know that. Sorry about that. Just some broken glass, and you gotta take that stuff seriously, because it is with 2 kids and 2 cats, and also our own feet. Sorry, I had my Crocs on. I had to deal with that right away, because you don't want anything, you don't want anyone to hurt themselves, basically. So, apologies for the delay. All right. Do not know what, I don't know. I'm just going to go until I do everything at this point. My timing's way off. All right. So, sorry. What happened with John Watts is very interesting, and it shows kind of surprising what happened with Apple, basically. Because everyone was kind of surprised and thought that the creative community, or that was crazy. It was like 3 light bulbs broke. It was like a Christmas string of lights, and like for some reason. Anyway, but yeah, so you gotta, if something breaks like that, you gotta take care of it. But it was like 3 lights. It took us a while to do it. I'm not sure how long I was doing that. So anyway, all right, John Watts. So John Watts, Wolves. He made it with Brad Pitt, George Clooney. Obviously, any studio is happy to be making a movie with those two, and it worked out very well for them. It was one of their biggest premiere movies ever. I think one of their biggest premiere things ever, other than, yeah, I think so. Bigger than Killers of the Flower Moon, at least. So when that happened, when they decided it's not going to theaters, going to streaming, he was already writing a sequel with Brad Pitt and George Clooney agreed to come back for. However, which they already paid him for. However, when they're like, we're putting this straight to streaming and you get to have it on, it's in like 2 theaters or something, but it's basically, once he learned that, he stopped working on his script. He canceled the sequel and he gave them back the money, which, John Watts has had at least $1 billion movie. All the Spider-Man movies he did were huge hits. He can pretty much do whatever he wants. And that someone also young, I really respect that he stood up for himself in his career and said, no, there's no fucking way I'm okay with this. And it sounds like he was fair. He's like, okay, if you're going to do that, here's your money back. There's no sequel. It's canceled. End of story. And I think that's actually really cool of him. It also shows me there's certain of the Marvel directors who use their power to do cool stuff and interesting creative projects and have used that profile to do something cool with that. And then there's the Russo brothers. But it is cool that he did that. I think it's pretty awesome. But it also shows a real that kind of shows a big fuck you to Apple. Like, if John Watts had been like, I'm cool with it, that would have been better for them. The fact that, like, a major director, like he is, got it? Take them? What? I'm confused. Like he is, did that, just shows, like, a real weakness in what they're trying to do, and them as a, I don't know. It is very interesting that happened, but I think it's a big deal because it makes Apple look real stupid that, they had this deal with this guy. Had they just, oh, okay. The Bruce, sorry. That they made them look like fools, basically. I think Apple will probably have a harder time getting other creative talent because they just lost their big blockbuster. Like, that's not what you're supposed to do as a studio. You're not supposed to burn down your franchise right when it gets started. That's embarrassing. So I don't see Apple being able to do as much post that. I think it was a fucking mistake that they did that, and it's interesting that they didn't try to course correct. They just kept it going. So, but it's also like he has a point. Like wolves, like how many people before I was gone for however long I was gone for, said wolves came out, and I think he has a point, and he was right to do it, and I respect him for that. I know he has the Starburst show, which I'll have a short review of sometime this weekend or something, but I respect that he stood up for him. I think that's really cool. I legitimately, like, when I saw that, I was like, oh shit, that's like not good for Apple to an extreme degree. To an extreme degree, I was like, that's nuts. Okay, so I have heard Summers. It's Wolves, which is a dumber title than Wolves. Wolves. Well, oh, Jesus. Anyway, I would be able to keep it straight had I seen it. So this is all Apple's fault. We keep hearing that Barry Keoghan is probably going to be Ringo in Sam Mendes' 4 Beatles movies. I hear more interest in stories about that because of the Beatles 64 thing. I know Adam McKay was writing weird tweets about the Beatles, but I don't know if I'll watch that documentary. I've seen so many Beatles documentaries. I don't know if I personally need any more, but apparently people still watch them. But supposedly he would be a good Ringo. I am curious about this project. Supposedly there's been a lot of debate on how they're going to film 4 movies. Like, supposedly they want them all to come out in one calendar year. The 4 movies, each one would be about a different Beatle. But I am curious what's going to happen with this, how it's going to come together, how they'll release them. But yeah, so there's been some speculation what they'll do is basically like there'll be a lot of scenes that are in all 4 movies. So they'll basically like have a setup and they can reuse footage and shoot it from different things. But I don't think that would be the case because I don't know. To me, like that sounds like movie press people trying to understand like how production costs work. And to me, it's like I think I asked this to someone about Happy Death Day. I was like, well, if you're always shooting in the same location, how do you keep all the footage sorted, or like a Groundhog's Day and stuff? But they do have like a clipboard, and like they do have it like organized and stuff. But I am curious like how you would do that. But I don't know. Like Sam Mendes has not actually said that. News reporters have said that. So Christopher Nolan has been casting up like crazy with this movie. I know he got Zendaya and Charlize Theron, and he has Matt Damon and Tom Holland and all these people. Apparently it might not be the Blue Angel thing, although that became sort of very reported and like checked out with a lot of major reporters. No one's sure what it is. Some people say, oh, it's like various couples. It's like this. No one knows what it is. But it has a crazy cast. But he's Christopher Nolan. Of course, he can get that. Hell yeah. Sorry. But it is interesting. Was supposedly I've heard Zendaya's part might not be that big. So we'll see about that. I wanted to bring this up. It's sort of an old story. But I think it has to do with what's going over there. Chris Nolan overcasts his movies with names. Jordan Salafalo, I don't disagree. I wanted to talk about this, and any super chats, because my energy is blah, would be appreciated. Sorry to say that. Well, I mentioned Zendaya because it was the newer part, but, anyway. This is a thing I knew back in the 2000s, but I think it is sort of relevant today. So in 2008 was around this time in 2008, around November, December, Facebook overtook MySpace to become the biggest social media platform, which I don't think it is now, but it's still extremely popular. But that's like when the change really happened. That's when Facebook like took number one from MySpace. Why that is, and I knew this at the time because I was doing Knock for stuff, and we very much had we had this I set up this program. where basically like you would tell us, you know, like, could you post every cartoon on your comment section, because YouTube actually was the number one website, not because of just YouTube, but because of the embeds on MySpace. So my ingenious plan was, if you request it, we'll post it as a comment on your we'll post as a comment when the video comes out, which by the end I think was like 80 MySpace profiles. So it was pretty wild. We had a really cool network there. But why I bring this up is I remember that time, but I also, now that Blue Sky is surging, I think we'll take advantage of that. Now, why this time of year is because the people you have Thanksgiving with, the people you have Christmas with, are people whose opinion you, in general, I'm speaking generally here, they're usually people whose opinion you trust and will listen to. So, in particular, like, you'll notice, like, suddenly an album will, like, suddenly skyrocket at this time. That's part of that. People will be like, Nirvana's Nevermind was, like, number one after Christmas based on returns. But another part of it, and I've heard from people at the time, was because, oh, my cousin was like, this Nirvana record is awesome, or this DMX album, or this or that. And it's a real changing of opinions at this time, which is setting up a perfect thing for Blue Sky, because everyone's like, well, what's so good about Blue Sky? And if you're on Blue Sky and your friend isn't, then, you know, you will be convinced to change. So I don't think Blue Sky will take over from Twitter. As I was saying earlier, I notice more interest in my Twitter than the Blue Sky. But I do think, like, this is the time of year, like, it'll probably surge more than usual. And I don't expect it'll surge again until the following holidays. So I am curious how that will go down. But traditionally, this is a time where people change their opinions on things, because the people who would change their opinions are who they're interacting more with at this time. So anyway, just sort of a historical thing I wanted to bring up. That's all. All right, so two DC things, and I will talk then. Well, yeah, two DC things, and one thing I think people want me to talk about, and then box office. This is sort of a story, but not a story, and I want to clarify what this is. And I think they actually, my family was like, Bohemian Rhapsody was an interactor telling of Queen. Really? That's interesting. All right. So even in the people who are pushing this story are at least using the quotes right. So we heard that there is a Superman trailer. Everyone wants to see this trailer. It's like the most anticipated trailer of the year. We have been hearing that it was going to come out, I think, within weeks, and we heard he had edited it and all this stuff. But then, he sent it to the studio. But obviously, making any trailer goes through, marketing folks and stuff like that. And that's basically what he's saying. I think everyone is like, they're meddling and stuff like that. And James Gunn himself, this is the actual quote. This is the exact same rigorous process I've gone through cutting every Guardians trailer, pushing the marketing folks as hard as I can, cutting and recutting until I think we have something worthy of the film itself. All that said, my notes are a lot more specific than make it better. So, to me, it's like that's how studios work. I think this was blown out of proportion because people are like, "Where's my trailer?" And he probably should have said, "It's on my hard drive. It's fucking done." And then you hear a second later that they're that it's being held by the studio. He probably shouldn't have done that. This is probably one of the the bad sides of being so open as he is. But I think it is not, it's nothing really to worry about, because to me, it's like, unless you're a huge, James Gunn is very big, but unless you're like David Fincher or Christopher Nolan, or who are the only two I've heard of doing, Toulouse, what are you doing? Come on, cat. Unless you're like, well, have years and years of respect and a huge agent and all that stuff, you usually don't get to go, here's the trailer, here you go. Or Steven Soderbergh, I think, did it for a few times. But most directors don't demand that in their contracts. And it's not a thing you can usually get. So it's just like, and they have a marketing department for a reason. You do have to work with the marketing department. I know everyone's like, I'm the genius. I don't think Toulouse broke the light bulbs. They were very high up, hanging up. So it was, did you do that? He says nothing. He's right there. Anyway, so this is kind of like one of those stories where someone can go, oh, the studio fucked it all up. I fucking hate the studio. And in all actuality, it's pretty normal. We also learned that supposedly there are rumors of a Mike Flanagan, who big horror director, is developing a Clayface movie, which is interesting. So, all right. Man, I'm so sorry about the light thing, but I mean, I'm not sorry I did it, but I'm sorry that y'all had to wait. Because that was dangerous. I don't want to, anyway, I don't want anything bad to happen, you know? Anyway, what was I saying? All right. So Muppet history. This was an account that I liked following. They liked some of my Muppet tweets and stuff. I think they retweeted me a few times. I don't really know him that well. But for some reason it came out that he... I don't understand fandoms, because I find it so interesting when someone is like a big person in a fandom, and obviously I witnessed that with like Saber and stuff. When we do BronyCons, but like people who have like an attitude about it are strange fucking people. I'll say that. So anyway, the Muppet history guy, it turned out he was going like harassing women online, or being very suggestive and very gross, and then he was also harassing other Muppet creators online. Which I don't know. I lost a lot of respect for him. I know he's issued several apologies and saying he's going to go into therapy, which to me is like, it seemed like he figured out the therapist thing very quickly. For America, that's interesting. I don't know. We're gonna see what the deal is with that. But I think, to me, yeah, Ryan Walterson was sort of like, whatever with this guy. So to me, it's like, if Ryan's like that, then fuck this guy, basically, this Muppet history guy. I think he fucked up. But like, if you're going, to me, like, there's two parts of this. One, that he was like using it to hit on girls when he's already married, and like, that seems to, I don't know what's going on there. But then that he's like kind of ruining, he was sort of the face of the fandom and everybody liked it. But he's using that to like harass people and put people down, and that to me is like, that's not very Muppets, but it's also just like, you're just a fucking dick. Like, I don't understand like what you think you're going to achieve with that. I just, good for you, but I just find him to be, I don't know. I'm probably, if I'm following him, I'll probably eventually unfollow him, because I find this like really disappointing. And everyone seems to know what this account is, but at the same time, it's like, you're supposed to represent the Muppets. Like, why? Like, it clearly wasn't about the Muppets. It's about your stupid ego. It's like, I don't get it. I think we overestimated how interesting he was to an extreme degree, because he showed us who, I don't know. I think most of the film Twitter people are like, why was this guy doing this? Like, this is like such a weird, like, that even the Muppet history can fuck up. Whatever. Like, all power corrupts, but Muppet power corrupts. Absolutely, I guess. All right, so let's talk about the box office. I think we will run a bit long tonight. Apologies for anyone on that. We're going to do... Yes, so now we'll talk about the box office. Now, there's a lot to talk about. Honestly, it was kind of an insane box office. So first off, Moana's box office was the biggest 5-day Thanksgiving box office ever. basically. It broke. The previous one was 2018 when Wreck-It Ralph 2 was dominating the box office. So I guess Disney sequels are good for the industry, unfortunately. Moana 2 made $225 million, which I believe is the best 5-day we've had this year. And it is the biggest 5-day Thanksgiving opening of all time. Number 2 was Wicked with 118 million, which is the third biggest Thanksgiving 5-day weekend. Obviously, that is not the opening, but for Thanksgiving 5-day gross, that is the second biggest, which we'll get onto. Wicked is also crazy. And also for the 3-day it is. Why all the monies will all their movies be cheaply animated now from Disney from Zane Powers? I think a lot of people have suggested that. Choosing Zane Powers. I've seen a lot of tweets like, what's going on with Tiana? Which I really hope they don't. I really hope they don't. I'm hyped for Skrill's production. Yeah. I hope they don't, but it doesn't seem good right now. Cheers to you, Zane Powers. Thank you for the super chat. Okay. Yeah, I did notice Moana made basically from Wednesday to about Saturday was making $50 million a day, or over $50 million a day. It was the fourth biggest weekend of the year for Wicked, and it was, I think, the biggest just single weekend for Moana 2, which is pretty crazy. But it made 225 over that weekend at 4,000 theaters, which actually the other movie with 4,000 theaters was Red One. The Rock and Deadline got in a bit of a controversy, which, if you follow certain people, was the thing, where they claimed that Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson was the first movie star to star in 2 movies that were number 1 at the box office within the same month. People have debated that fact. Some people said the one who really has it, who really starred into, was Nicolas Cage with Con Air and Face Off back in 1997, which he was very much selling both of those. I think it's a little different when it's like a live action movie and an animated movie. I don't know if anyone's specifically done that and starring in it. People are saying, well, Catherine O'Hara, she's in Beetlejuice, and The Wild Robot. So sort of, but anyway, a lot of people are saying he's not the first person to do it. He's maybe the first person to do it in recent memory, though, and that is pretty momentous, I think, But yeah, what this means for the industry, and there have been a lot of talks about this, is honestly that it's continuing a trend that a lot of people have talked about, and I think there was somebody was talking about how a lot of investors want Terrifier. Oh, Austin's here. Okay, hold on. Let me say this, and then I'll say a thing. Thank you for that. A lot of I forget who said this, but every investor wants Terrifier 3, and they don't want Terrifier 1, and that's kind of the problem with the industry, and Disney especially, and this year especially, because they're not good at launching new things. They're not good at launching new things with Marvel. They're not good at launching new things with Pixar or Disney theatrically. Encanto was a hit on streaming. The rest of it, like Wish, and have been failures, basically. And same with like Marvel has not really been able to launch new things and all this stuff. And they're just relying on sequels. And it's kind of the problem with what's going on. And I think a lot of people, box office analysts, are like, you have all these big sequels set up, but you're not thinking about like setting up the next franchise by making an original thing, and there's not an emphasis on that, and it's not good. And showing like what happened with, they changed a TV thing. Supposedly they paid all the animators a TV rate, not a movie rate, and all these like shitty things. Like, is this going to get worse and crappier and less creative fulfilling? This indicates all the worst things. So anyway. Austin says, if you go now to a Cinemark, you can get a Moana promo La Corena card. If you show your past ticket, you might be able to get a card. La Corena is the new Disney card game. They also have an Oswald card, by the way. Oh, cool. Thank you for that. That's helpful. It's like my brother with the Pokemon cards. Cheers to you, Austin. Thank you for the generous super chat. But Moana 2's success highlights kind of shittier things. Basically, it's not good. The potential, how this was developed, and everything like that, and it doesn't make Bob Iger look good, as particularly this reign. I'm sure it does because there's a high possibility Disney is going to have the three highest grossing movies of the year, but they're all sequels. And I think previously, I forget if Ryan told me, and I got to talk about this. Before Wicked, the top 10 highest grossing films were all sequels. But you could say, Wicked is still a movie about something that, is an adaptation, is based on previous material, all this stuff, but it's not in fact sequel. But it is, we're becoming so much more dependent on these franchises, but at a certain point, everyone's like, you're going to hit a wall, and you're not really thinking, and like, I don't know, maybe Elio will launch a huge franchise for Disney, but it doesn't seem like a smart move. In my mind, Wicked is another interesting one because Wicked has actually has outgrows Grease and is now the highest grossing Broadway adaptation. This is unadjusted for inflation of all time presently. If we're doing adjusted for inflation, a lot of people are saying it looks to outgross Chicago, but looking at this now, it's 263. I think it would actually outgross. It would definitely get in the top 10 if it's adjusted for inflation, but unadjusted, it is presently the highest grossing Broadway adaptation, which is actually good for Broadway adaptations because trust me, no one got excited for those after Dear Evan Hansen. So it is actually good for and it is good for if you want more movie musicals. This was a sign that like someone will sign up for another big movie musical after this, which is it has been a good movie musical year, particularly like you look at Mean Girls, you look at Wicked. We're having more of these, maybe not Joker 2, but I think it's going to be interesting. The Wicked success is really interesting because it made $100 million behind Moana 2, and I was always like, I think this is a bad move. Like, how is this going to work? And it worked. I was wrong. I'm glad to be wrong, actually, because I want the industry to do well, and it would be good for movies since I talk about them and stuff. But also because, I'm glad people are having fun at the movies. But I think the difference is one thing that is different. Next weekend is one of the weirdest retail weeks because everyone, it's Christmas. You expect all this selling and people going out and all this stuff, but it's notoriously like a slow week. Like I think it's like someone wants to describe it to me. It's like suddenly, it's like Thanksgiving, a week of September, and then Christmas season. So I think all these movies are going to have a tremendous fall next weekend. But the thing with Wicked is we're seeing more older audiences. And the difference between a young audience movie and an old audience movie is young audiences run out to see something and it does incredibly well and all this stuff. And then they've all seen it and everyone's seen it. But older audiences take their time, and people are saying that about Wicked. People are also saying about Gladiator 2. I don't think Moana is going to fall off number one, but a lot of people saw it, and I don't know if it'll be. I don't know. We'll see. It's going to be interesting next weekend. Gladiator 2 is also doing really well. I think no one's paying attention to it because of Wicked and Moana 2, to be totally honest with you, but it's crossed $100 million. Following that, we have Red One, which is up to $75 million. So, The Rock's publicist was right about something. And then we have Wicked is the Dune Part 2 for theater kids. Well, I think Wicked Part 2 is the Dune Part 2 for theater kids. But I like I will cheers to you anyway, Austin. Cheers to you. I'm not going to tell you what the Wicked video will be, but I'll say I have a review of it, but I have not seen it. I think that should be a clue. The one kind of success box office thing, which this is also good, number 5 is the best Christmas pageant ever, which is Lionsgate's only hit this year at all. Is up to 31 million. It keeps succeeding in there. The Wild Robot, a lot of people have said, which is at number 8, would have continued to do well because it is really holding very strongly, and it's at 142 million and doing very well. And a lot of people think it should have not left. So many theaters shouldn't have bumped it because it would have continued to do well. But yeah, not too much. Conclave continues to do well. Hold on. I have not seen the Creature Commandos, but I will do a thing kind of a short review of it. We have the movie Queer, opened in 70 theaters with 295 per screen average, which I believe would make it per screen average was the biggest per screen average. No, 42,000. Okay, it would make it the second biggest per screen average. Moana 2 still has number one on that. And The Seed of a Sacred Fig. I keep hearing about that, but I haven't seen it. The spirit of Michael Eisner lives on. It certainly does with these remakes. Cheers to you. Okay, I need to... Let me see. What other box office things? And we'll figure out what I'm still going to talk about because I know it's kind of late. Yeah, not much else here, but it is wild. It did so well. Wicked, I didn't get to talk about the last weekend, but it doing well it's all good for the industry. I don't know if the whole thing everyone has with it winning Best Picture or everything like that. I don't really want to say that right now because it's early. The National Board of Review thing is good. It's been making all those sort of top 10 things. I think you get a Best Picture nomination. I think it'll be, let's see where we are on Christmas. I know I've been sort of like down on the movie because I was like, how is this going to work, honestly? But we'll see. I think it'll be interesting to see what it does so far. But I don't think Moana 2 might not even get in Best Animated Feature. But Wicked, I think, has a good chance. Some people are saying there's a chance because of that Selena Gomez movie that's on Netflix. And Ariana Grande is in Wicked, that the Oscar producers, it would be in their best interest to have Selena Gomez and Ariana Grande nominated for Oscars. I would agree, but the Academy usually does not behave in such a manner. So if they're expecting that, I think that was a bad move. Will you be seeing Win or Lose in theaters? What's Win or Lose? Win or Lose? Win or Lose? What is he talking about? Win or Lose? Oh, is it in theaters? Whenever it comes out, I plan on watching it. I guess it. I see a trailer here. It says available December 6th. I don't know about that. Is this when is it coming? It got delayed, right? It better. I can't deal with another thing right now. Oh, February 2025. All right. Cheers to you, Zane Powers. I guess I woke everyone up. Here's what let's do with the rest. Let me look at the glass because there is some things I want to talk about. Okay, there's not a ton of stuff. We'll just try to get through what we can get through because I know I'm like we'll get through, but I know some of you start to fall asleep. So I decided to do 2 segments. I didn't know there was going to be what we had. All right. The AI script thing. Let's talk about that. So what happened? We found out that there's an AI script that's been using thousands of television scripts, including all of The Simpsons and Futurama, several by major television writers like Shonda Rhimes, Ryan Murphy, Alex Hirsch has complained about this. What happened is, yes, various companies have been using this sort of data set of screenplays. They say they're not using it to make scripts, but to help, generative AI and stuff like that. What the Ankler did an interesting part, although they mainly talked about Oscars. But if you listen to the back half of that podcast, they did talk to a writer. So basically, the thing with the legality of this is because they're television scripts, and because often with television scripts, maybe Shonda Rhimes has some copyright over it. Maybe Matt Groening has a little bit. To my understanding of what they were saying, they did not. The studios have the copyright. And what this one writer, who I believe writes for like The Good Wife and stuff, was saying is the studios, because it's their copyright, the writers do not get a copyright of these, needs to sue them basically. And they've been very quiet about this, and they've continued to be quiet about this. And that is the initial issue. And a lot of the writers are saying, like, look, if you're going to do this, they should get paid, which I agree with. They should get paid. I think they shouldn't do this at all. I think it's fucking horrible. But if you're going to take someone's work, they should get paid. But legally, since it is not their copyright, at present time, there's nothing they're owed. But they're basically just doing, I don't know. It's just like whatever. I'm just annoyed by the whole thing. It really, it sucks. I mean, there's nothing, but it seems like the WJ is trying to figure out something to do with that. We'll see if anything happens there. All right, so there's this one script I want to talk about because it's a cool idea. And we don't have, like, back in the days when I first started caring about Hollywood news, there'd be these big screenplay sales. And sometimes they turn into stuff. So there'd be a lot of hype about a screenplay. I remember hearing about the Butterfly Effect for so many years. And then when I heard Ashton Kutcher was going to do it, I was like, man, he's so smart. But, you know, people wanted this movie forever. And then it came out and nobody liked it. But there's this script called The Alignment. It was preemptively picked up by a production company called Fifth Season for $3 million. This is the kind of Shane Black huge deal. It's actually it's a cool idea. It is about AI. It's basically about okay. Do they have a description, or am I gonna have to? Okay, so it's basically about this company makes a AI thing, and it's helping their company out a lot, but at the same time, it is stabilizing various governments and things around the world. And it's basically meaning like this guy, it's sort of considered like margin call, and it takes place within like a 36-hour period in this boardroom, and they're debating like, well, it's working out for us and we're all making a ton of money, but it's also like ruining the world, and what they should morally do about, which I guess is called The Alignment, or whatever this AI is. So I'm very excited if this happens. Just on that premise, I have not read this script. It sounds really cool. It's sort of like one of those Hollywood stories that reporters are interested in, and maybe you guys aren't or something, but it honestly sounds really cool to me. I hope that happens. I think it'd be cool to have a movie about people debating AI presently. I think sounds really cool. We learned that there is going to be, I think I've talked about that Scorsese and Spielberg were teaming up as producers for a Cape Fear Apple TV show. Supposedly Javier Bardem is playing the Max Candy, or the Robert De Niro part, or if you haven't seen Cape Fear, you know that one episode of The Simpsons where Sideshow Bob follows the Simpsons to a boathouse. That's all Cape Fear. In case you're wondering. And actually the original Cape Fear, not the remake. This is like a contention thing I had with animation friends at the time, and I looked at it and I was like, no, there's no possible way it could have been the remake. It has to be the... Anyway, sorry. It sounds cool with Javier Bardem playing that role. Sounds awesome. There's been all sorts of debates on who should be the lawyer guy who he's stalking in the family, and that will be an interesting casting job. But like a project that Scorsese and Spielberg are working on sounds really cool. Now, if they directed one together, that would be better, if we're being honest. I'm sorry if there were things I don't... Okay. I keep hearing things about the Nickel Boys a lot, and I watched the trailer today, and it seems pretty cool. I'm sort of curious about that. I'm not saying it's good or bad. I'm curious because apparently it does a lot of POV stuff. Not how TikTok views POV, but I saw a viral thing on Blue Sky, and it was like this girl explaining... I guess they were shooting... there's nothing pornographic in the video itself, but her explaining like what a POV shot was, and while they're making porn. I thought it was actually really interesting. I think I saved the draft on Twitter or something, but I was like, she's actually literally explaining POV. It's interesting. But yeah, I don't actually know what the Nickel Boys is to fully explain. I know it's like two guys and they talk about stuff. I don't know. They're like, I don't actually know. I just know it's a POV thing and people really like it. So where do I keep finding it? Guys, I pay attention to movie news all the time. So there was an MST3K Turkey Day stream. A lot of celebrities, they played The Final Sacrifice, which was kind of the big surprise because it hasn't been on streaming or YouTube and stuff, and apparently Shout Factory and all them worked out the rights. That's kind of the only real news from that, unfortunately. I know Secret Galaxy made a video on MST3K. Yes, it is killing me that I haven't watched it yet. Yes, I will watch it while I'm doing dishes right after the stream. As well as there's this guy who does this video called Every Grammys Ever. I need to post that in artist self-promo because that's been a cool series. I've been really into it. Anyway, We got an update on Thanksgiving 2. Supposedly Eli Roth has said he's not going to be spending more money. He probably learned from the Tarantino family of Robert Rodriguez, because that's the only reason you have Spy Kids movies is because of Robert Rodriguez not spending more on the sequels, and I think he learned. So next year, we have the potential of having Thanksgiving 2 and a Silent Night, Deadly Night reboot, which is going to be interesting holiday season next year under fascism. Okay, so MeTV2. I'll talk about MeTV2 and Singing Theaters obits, and then we're taking a break so I can pee, and then I will do the segments. I'm sorry it's so late. If you want to do a super chat or whatever, there's a little bit of time. Let's say we'll end at 12:45, maybe 12:50. Oh Jesus, this is not my night. In some ways, it is my night because y'all are cool, but it is not. It is, yeah. Anyway, I do think it's going to be interesting with Thanksgiving 2. But hey, Eli Roth, I like that he's really into this franchise. I'm into it. I'm down for more. So MeTV Tunes, sorry, Super Dusky. MeTV Tunes had 2 marathons over Thanksgiving weekend. One was was it Rabbits? Oh, it's right next to RSL promo? I didn't know that, Cornbread. You see, it shows what I know. Shows what I know, which is nothing. They had 2 marathons. It was like Rabbits, Ducks, and No Turkeys. It was Bugs and Daffy. Basically, anytime we turned on, there'd be some of the best Looney Tunes cartoons, like all the classics. It did seem like every hour they had a theme, which, if anything, what MeTV Tunes needs to do if they're doing these marathons is say, this is the hour that is, the crime one. This is... Oh, thank you, Modelo Butterfly. Cheers to you. I miss your little $1 super chat things. They're always cool. Appreciate it. Cheers to you. Like, these are the space ones. These are the this ones. And I wish they... Sorry. I wish they would point that out more. Because I think that would make it, like, a little more... Because you eventually realize, like, oh, we're doing these kind of Bugs and Daffy ones. And that's just a minor nitpick. However, they did a second one on Black Friday, which was Black and White Friday. And here's my thing about this. I noticed they played some Fleischer Brothers. But then they're playing Famous Studios, which, I know that's been a criticism, Annie Merrill, and a criticism of MeTV Tunes, that they just play, like, stuff from eras that nobody likes. But at the same time, I saw that it seemed to me, and I don't have any evidence of this, but it seemed to me a lot of times they were playing black and white versions of color shorts, which was like not what I really signed up for. And I did watch it in prime time, so you'd think that they would be playing good stuff then, but it felt to me like they sort of fucked up. Like that's not why I want a black and white marathon. I want all the 30s stuff and the stuff that is in black and white. It seemed like they took that, and I get that like TCM does that too, where they'll play like the Charlie Chaplin, kind of remix ones where he narrated his old silent films and stuff. And it's like, I get there's like some desire to have those, but that desire should be on a special features of the DVD. I thought that was kind of lame. That's my only thing. And I don't know. I'm not sure why they did that, but showing like black and white cuts of color cartoons was not what, to me, if you're doing a black and white marathon, you play like things that were made in black and white and not, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but it seemed like the time-wise, I was like, why would this be in black and white? Because they're black and white TVs, and but it just didn't, I don't know. They could have done better. But I still love them. I still watch them all the time. But anyway, I just wanted to get that out there, I guess. So singing in movie theaters has become a thing to people. I have no problem with this because I just want people to have a good time in the movies. If you're seeing Wicked or Moana 2, just let people sing. I live in New York. I've been to all sorts of crazy ass theaters with crazy ass shit happening. But to be totally honest, you just kind of got to let it go at a certain point. You just kind of got to let people experience the movie how they are. If it really bothers you, move away. But like, we need people coming to theaters and having a good time. I don't really I saw Rocky Horror, all this stuff. The movies that people are singing on, I get that they're not Ariana Grande, and I don't love those TikToks where you're like, just let people sing. This is for the Broadway kids. I'm like, Broadway kids are a lot. I don't need to hear how you guys need so many things. But it's to me, it's just like, let people have fun. Like, just be chill. I don't really have a problem with it. Now, if you're singing in a movie that doesn't have songs, then that's not good. But I assume they meant singing along and stuff like that. But just be aware that just test it out. If you don't think it's the right audience for that, or you want to sing, try to go to and you're, But it's also like, I think my daughter was like, you can just wait for it to come on stream. It doesn't even take that long. And I was like, she's got a point. She's got a point. All right, so let's talk about the obits. I think the big one was Jim Abrahams. He was the middle of Zaz, who directed Airplane and Top Secret, and basically like one of the biggest, most important comedies of all time, the first Airplane, as well as he directed the two Hot Shots movies, which were bigger deals at the time, and I haven't really heard much about them. But I think his legacy and the Zaz legacy was in Kentucky Fried Movie and all that stuff. You can sing in Norm of the North, but I think that they changed comedy. It was like a huge thing. I still love the first Airplane. It's still a great movie. Those do never look to me like easy movies to do, especially like Top Secret is like some A tier, like that's like a cinephile parody movie if there ever was one. They were really interesting filmmakers. I know that maybe they politically I might not be with them, but I don't know Jim Abrams specifically. But to be a founding member of Zaz, he's definitely a major part of film history. And check out Airplane. If you've never seen Airplane, watch Airplane, and if you've never seen Top Secret, watch that. I would like to rewatch Hot Shots at some point. I'm surprised we haven't heard talk of a Hot Shots reboot when Top Gun Maverick happened. To be totally honest, like I was thinking about that. I've thought about that several times. I don't know if I ever said that to anyone, but I really do think I think that would be cool. What? Because of your prioritizing your own good time, I think you should. Okay, that's a good point, Cornbread. Also, game show host Chuck Woolery died this past week. I didn't see too much of him, but he's always been kind of a cool figure, and the Beastie Boys referenced him. Also, Morgan Lifting, I believe that's her name, who voiced the Baroness in G.I. Joe as well. And Eminem's mom died this week, which is, a figure I've been hearing about for so long. It feels weird, but all right. So here's what's going to happen if you didn't know. I'm going to be reviewing two things, which I regret now, but we're we're doing it. Why? Okay, there it is. I'm going to be reviewing Captain EO, which I've been promising to for Skeleton Crew. And then I'm going to do Family Guy, The Gift of the White Guy, which is for their holiday special. And then I will do questions. I think this might go till 12:50 or potentially 1. I would just like to get everything on. Anyway, I'm sorry if the glass breaking thing. I'm not sorry because I needed to do that, but I'm sorry if you were waiting and stuff like that. And I appreciate everybody sticking around. I know it's a late night and everything like that. So cheers to all of you. I will be. I just need to use the bathroom. I'm not going to take that long. Hopefully, I won't see any glass or anything. I will have to pick that up if I do. But I'm going to put the classic bump rub. Check out Ace the Wind Riders links in the description. And I will be right back, and then we will talk about Captain EO. Okay, hello. Broken glass everywhere. People pissing on the broken glass everywhere. People pissing on the. They just don't care. All right. I did find some glass again. Anyway, I'm sure you come for the glass drama. That's really it. All right. I'm just gonna take one of these for energy, but I have more for anyone who wants to do a super chat during skibbiting the toilet. Man, fucking skibbity toilet. All right, we don't need to talk nonsense. Let's get into it. So Family Guy. Gift of the White Guy. This is the Family Guy Christmas special, which was released exclusively. You didn't think I was going to do that. I didn't know I was going to do that either. Exclusively on Hulu. It is their Christmas special. Much like their Halloween special, it has two plot lines. The A plot, I guess it's the A plot line with Peter. With Peter getting into nonsense. This time it is him. This time it is him because at his work they're doing a white elephant exchange. He finds a brooch in the closet and decides to just give that to his in the white elephant thing, and then he finds out it holds special significance for Lois, which you think would have come up before, but whatever. So he has to spend the whole episode trying to get the brooch back because he goes to his boss, who then gives it to his boss's mom. It's very convoluted. Honestly, it's not very funny. The other one is about Stewie, and Stewie needs to find a way to not get on the naughty list, and he gets rid of all his guns, which Brian is like, oh, they look sort of like, are those like from Rick and Morty? And he goes, yeah, they were having a fire sale, and they like just have these like Rick and Morty guns, which I will say that was like the part of the episode I thought was pretty clever. After he gets rid of the guns, Meg finds one. Her and Stewie getting in an argument, and he vaporizes Meg and is really sad and wants to get her back because he misses his sister. Of the two, the Stewie plotline is a lot better. However, this was not very good. This was a bad Christmas special. There were certain parts, like there was a part at the end with the brooch and the old lady, which I thought was funny. The Rick and Morty thing was like funny. I don't know. I thought how they played that was interesting, but mostly this was like not good. Like it didn't really take advantage of the season as much. Like the white elephant thing is like, I guess the Stewie thing sort of worked better, but I thought the Halloween special was a little better at like using the iconography, using horror movie stuff. This is just like does what lazy holiday specials do, is use the little nuggets of the thing, and they just don't use like the actual like it would be. I think what I liked about their Halloween special is it used like horror movie stuff in one and did a festive thing in the other, and this is just doing or like a festive idea that's very Halloween specific or fall specific, whereas this one took the Christmas ideas but had nothing. Like they're not like, let's do It's a Wonderful Life, let's do something like that. Like they're not doing anything with it, so it's just, to me, it's like, what was the point of all this? Like I don't really get it. It felt sort of like an okay Family Guy episode. It just, I think they're more suited, and like Glenn Powell was in that one. It's like there was incentive, there was celebrities, there's all this stuff, and this is just like Peter screws up White Elephant because of course he does, and Stewie's I think was a little closer, but it's like they didn't make a comparable one like the Halloween one. There wasn't something like that. They just didn't do that, and I wish they had done something I wish they'd done something more. This did, like, I think the other one made me sort of think about watching Family Guy more, and this one made me go, nah, I'm good. I'm good. I don't need to watch Family Guy. I don't need to watch more. Like, this was not a good special. They didn't really do a great job. I think Seth MacFarlane crew, I respect them more than what the end product of this was. I think they tried to make it into something, but oh yeah, they had this Jeff Goldblum joke. I'm gonna be honest, like I thought Jeff Goldblum was cool in the '90s, and my generation's obsession with him, like past the '90s, I could not give a fuck. But it was just the Jeff Goldblum. They have this Jeff Goldblum bit, and he's gonna like explain certain things. I keep cutting to him, and it's like it didn't really work, and it wasn't a good Jeff Goldblum. It was just like I don't know. I like Jeff Goldblum, but like everyone's like weird obsession with him never made a lot of sense to me. Why doesn't Sam Neill get an obsession? He was in Merlin. Come on, guys. Anyway, I think this is fine. If you like Family Guy, if you're not into Family Guy or pre-sold, it's just a rough watch. It's just not good enough. It doesn't transcend anything. I think the Halloween special was a lot better. All right, so Captain EO. Sorry I did that. That was just like a spur of the moment thing. Okay, so I want to preface. Sorry, I actually got up at 5:30 today, and this is a wild day. Anyway, what does that say? Fly like Jeff Gold. Merlin? Sam Neill's in Merlin. You know what? Just look up Knock Force Merlin. Anyway, so I'm going to talk about Captain EO. Now I'm going to tell you what this video is and what this video isn't. This is not a history of Captain EO. Defunctland did that. The Secret Galaxy people did that. I'm sure a bunch of other people who are like going to comment, this person did it too, Jim. And I'll be like, okay. This is just a review of what I could find of Captain EO. I never went on the ride 3D, 4D theater thing. I never did that. I'm just reviewing the video of Captain EO. To be 100% clear, that is what this is. So, Captain EO was a major, huge project, though. Written and sort of produced by George Lucas. And then it was written and produced by George Lucas and directed by Francis Ford Coppola, starring Michael Jackson. You're probably wondering, and what I had wondered for a long time, maybe John Landis turned it down. Supposedly there was a meeting with Lucas, and they were like, what about John Landis? And he apparently like wouldn't acknowledge it. So, however, I've noticed no history brings this up. This is my one history part. Like, everybody think about why would they not want John Landis to direct something in the mid-'80s? It's like, yes, because of the Twilight Zone, the movie thing. Like, that's why why would George Lucas not acknowledge him? Because of that. Like, I don't understand. Like, I read so many histories of that, and no one's like, maybe because of the Twilight Zone movie thing, and this was like 1985 most likely when they're making this thing. Anyway, it's like 100% the reason why he was not, but whatever. So Coppola directed this. And it's in their Captain EO, who is Michael Jackson, is in a spaceship with all these cool creatures, including a creature called Hooter, and all these other ones, including the one whose name I'm now forgetting, who is in Skeleton Crew for a second or something. I didn't watch the second Skeleton Crew before this, but I'm assuming it was just a second. But they're going to this weird planet with this evil lady, and Michael Jackson does 2 songs, one of which is "We're Here to Change the World," which is the main focus of it. Then another is "Another Part of Me." He does a cool and crazy dance number. Supposedly Disney didn't like all the crotch thrust stuff. I'm like, did you not? He's Michael Jackson. I don't understand. Anyway, so they he does his songs. The crazy lady becomes Angelica Houston. Or maybe she was Angelica Houston the whole time. And then he sings and he's happy, and him and the aliens won't get hurt by the core or something. Anyway, this is not... Look, I am a big fan of Thriller, actually. I really liked it. But and I love all his music videos, actually. I watch them with my daughter who's really into dance. We watch like Smooth Criminal. I try to show her that stuff. This is not on par with his music video work. In fact, it kind of fucking sucks. And I think, like, I like his dance routine. I sort of like We Are Here to Change the World. But it's sort of like everyone in this who's creatively involved is not in a period that anyone but me would ever give a shit about. You have Lucas, hot on the heels of making Howard the Duck, right in his prime post Return of the Jedi period, where it's like you can tell this bitch is thinking about Willow. You have Coppola, who just needs this movie to get out of bankruptcy and is not in the prime era that any. I mean, this is more Megalopolis Coppola than it is that I've seen for, like, when I was watching it, was like, this, this would pair well with Megalopolis. Someone should do a Coppola double feature. But he, like, when Michael Jackson comes up as Captain EO, it's sort of like, oh, cool, he's here. And you're like, Mike, what? You're going to fuck up a Michael Jackson introduction? Like, I don't understand. Whatever. They do have parts that's sort of like the trench run thing. But because it's like Lucas post Jedi, he makes it look like overly complicated because he can, which maybe we should have known what was going to happen. And then Michael Jackson, who I do think, like, the period between Thriller and Bad is interesting because he made, like, We Are the World, he made this, he made that Coke commercial that didn't work out, he made a Jackson's album Victory. But I mentioned in a previous stream, my thing with the Jackson's album is this. Is if you ever were like, what does Quincy Jones do for Michael Jackson? I recommend, and I'm serious about this actually, if you're ever like, what did Quincy Jones do for Michael Jackson? Listen to that album, because it's 80s Michael Jackson that Quincy Jones was not involved in. And he's still he's a very talented singer, he's a very talented dancer. But Quincy Jones made those fucking records that made him a superstar. And you can tell the difference. And the difference between him being like, what's his name, Billy Ocean, and Michael Jackson is fucking Quincy Jones. I'm sorry, but that song he did with Mick Jagger on the Jacksons album, which, if anyone in the chat even knows what I'm talking about, is Quincy Jones. And so Quincy Jones did not produce these songs in this short. Before you say another part of me, and you can tell the difference between Michael Jackson producing a Michael Jackson record and a Quincy Jones one. We Are Here to Change the World. I don't know if there is a Quincy Jones one, but they're both extremely bass heavy. Now, I like bass, actually. But hearing another part of me with the bass heavy stuff without all the other instruments kind of shows me is like Quincy would always talk about, when he talks about Michael Jackson, how Michael Jackson always wanted the groove so he could dance to it, which is fine. He's like a big James Brown fan, all that stuff, but like the production is not there. And it's wild to me that they wouldn't do Quincy Jones. Now, maybe one of the reasons was, and one thing I did find in one of the histories of this, is that they wanted Spielberg to do this. And Michael Jackson said apparently he either wants Lucas or Spielberg to do this Disney thing. And Spielberg was dizzy with The Color Purple, which Quincy Jones was also involved in. So I'm curious if maybe that's why Quincy was not really involved on this. But I do like bass and stuff, but it's like, this is another example of, if you ever were like, did Quincy Jones really do that much? Like, wasn't Michael Jackson extremely talented and stuff? Watch this movie, and the another part of me in this is not the another part of me in Bad, and the one in Bad I think is superior, and I think he's still really talented. He's he's an amazing pop songwriter. The dance routines in this movie or short or whatever it is are amazingly wonderful. I'm not taking that away from this, but without Quincy Jones, it is extremely noticeable in my mind. I will say that. Do I like this to a certain degree? I had never seen it before, and I found it interesting. A lot of people mention that this aired on MTV in 96. I find that odd because the year before, when History came out, the Michael Jackson double album, they did a ton of Michael Jackson stuff. In fact, that's how I got into Thriller, was through that, actually. And so I thought Captain EO played 95, but I'm sure somebody has proof that they aired it once in 96, a year that he was not putting out music or promoting anything, which doesn't seem to make a lot of sense to me, but maybe I don't know. It's also the year it sort of closed for a bit, so maybe it was like Disney let the rights and they just took it, whatever. I think Captain EO is fun. I'm sure it's more fun with the 3D, and the 4D stuff and all that stuff. But to me, it is a roller coaster ride kind of thing. It has no real substance behind it. It didn't feel like the George Lucas you get from Star Wars. It felt like someone trying to imitate Star Wars, but very well. I think it is. It's a little weird. It's funny to hear about and how expensive it was, and see like Coppola try to do a George Lucas thing is weird, and you can tell it is not his thing. Very much so. He does not have the versatility of like Spike Lee does music videos. He actually did, when we were talking about Debbie Mathers today, he did a video sort of about her, and you wouldn't know it. Coppola is not. He is versatile, but he's not like he can't just direct a random commercial the way Scorsese, or like Scorsese did Bad, and Bad is an amazing video and very well shot and very well choreographed and all those stuff. And it's interesting when Coppola did it, felt like all the Michael Jackson shots were things that Landis had done, or the other directors, I forget, Bob Gruen or something. Anyway, it just they did it went it to me, it's like not focused, and it's too much about being this experience and not enough being about a story, because there isn't a story there. It's not trying to tell a story. It's just keeping you entertained in a fucking theme park, and that's all this is, and that's fine. But I think if I look at it in comparison to Michael Jackson's other video work, which he considered, by the way, short films, which this is, I think it can, if I put it up against those, which I actually think Michael Jackson would agree with me critically doing that, since the way he talks about those things, I think it is very poor in comparison to those. I wish it was better. I hadn't actually seen this before. I'd seen like clips and stuff, but I just didn't find it very good. I like the Michael Jackson dancing thing, but would I watch this over Smooth Criminal? Would I watch this over Beat It or Bad or anything like that? Fuck no. I would never would never do that. So it's very mid 80s. It's very, someone mentioned Solid Gold Dancers. I believe that. I'm glad I did get to review this. I'm glad I got to see this. Thank you for the suggestion, Cornbread. But I just don't, I think other than the fandom of it and the idea that it happened, there's not much there, not much legacy beyond the 3D and the event of it. The actual filmmaking isn't really anything to cry home about, but if you're a Coppola completionist, or if you want something to watch before Megalopolis, it's definitely a good pick for that. But I don't think it's ever going to, I don't think it's anything more than sort of like checking off a box that you've seen it. I don't think it has much of a lasting legacy, unfortunately, but it was something I did watch. All right. I only have one Patreon question. I'm going to write questions below. If anyone wants to, I'm sorry to beg for super chats. It's the holidays. Things are tight. Questions below if you would like to do one before the end of the show. Man, today's been a fucking day. Jesus. This fucking glass. All right, sorry. Nathaniel Foga, unless somebody else left a late in the game. Oh, wait, I have a notification. Did someone leave another one? What? Oh, someone did. Okay, all right. Hold on. Is this on the... Okay, we have a second one. Let me do Nathaniel Foga's... Someone left a bunch of comments? I'm confused. Just two. Okay, let me do... Nathaniel Foga's had his the longest, so he gets one first. Okay? That's the deal. That's the deal with this. Oh, Austin sent one on Discord? Okay. Well, as always, I'll save the Austin for last. Nathaniel Fogg asks, what's a Disney direct-to-video sequel you could have been worthy to be in theaters? I have never seen one of those, to be 100%. I think the only one I sort of liked was the first Stitch one, and I was never really that... I mean, I like Rescuers Down Under as a kid, but like the thing is, like when Return of Jafar hit, I wasn't super into that. So it was like most kids I knew thought it sucked. So it wasn't, I think, the same thing. But anyway, okay, I actually did want to talk about this. So Mizelle Torres said, do you think Hollywood is hella hypocrites for refusing to have a convo to Sebastian Stan as Trump? I've seen the press The Apprentice, and it's pretty palatable. Palatable in comparison to many claims that it's super controversial, even though it's very well made and well acted. Strong and Bakalova were great as well. But is this blast on freedom of speech or not publicly criticizing the president or its classic self-preservation, saving their own asses in the industry, even though it's never a hot take to not like Trump? I will say, okay, so basically what he's talking about in this is that there's a Hollywood actors on actors thing, which is like honestly only okay, the videos. But supposedly Sebastian Stan tried to get in that and they couldn't find someone to match with him because no one wanted to because he's playing Trump. I don't think that's real. I just think that everyone knows that that's probably not going to get nominated. I understand people like that movie, but it is a divisive movie. And I think, I don't know who he would have been matched up with, but I sort of think that's a publicist trying to save their fucking ass. That's what I honestly think that is. We'll see, but I think it is, I don't know. I sort of think it was like Hollywood Reporter might have said no. A lot of people were saying that like the publicist said no to it, not the stars necessarily. And a lot of people were saying like maybe the stars got to it, but it was never like, it's something people talk about. It was never a real Oscar thing to the point that people are acting like it is. So I'm sort of like, maybe. I think it's sort of like a publicist was, but it's like, who would he have matched with? Like, that's the part I think to me, if I was Sebastian Stan as publicist, I would take this as a step in the right direction for him as a career. People are definitely talking about him more as an actor and less as Bucky. And he should take that and move on from there. But I don't think it was suppression of freedom of speech. When I read his thing in comparison to that, I was just like, it sounds to me just like they might have just said like, we're not. They said something to shut you up, but they just weren't interested. That's on. It might be Hollywood Reporter who said no and not because there's no star. It's not like Ariana Grande. I'm just mentioning a star. I'm sorry to pick on her. Or Paul Mescal was like, there's no fucking way I'm meeting the Trump guy. Like, there's no report to that. So that's why I'm a little like, maybe. I mean, I don't know if it's freedom of speech. It's just he can't campaign at that level. And I think they tried and they got turned away. Ms. Del Toro's, what does moving to Blue Sky mean to you? I think it means, I think it's also like, I don't want to be part of like someone who is supporting what happened on, with Trump and everything like that. But I also think I think it's also like the idea of having a new social media platform, because one thing I was thinking about is like, I've talked to more critics who I respect on Blue Sky. It feels like a tighter community. It also feels like all those people when Twitter started, there are all these guys I used to know in New York who are like, I'm a fan of internet. And you're like, that's an abstract thing. What do you mean you're a fan of internet? And there are all these people and they're like, I have a Twitter. And they'd brag to me about their followers. And I didn't have that many then. And they're always like posting the worst stuff. And you're stuck with you follow them. And I think there are a lot of old baggage we're all following. And I think it sort of lets go of like, what is our actual social life now? And I talked about this with Izzy and a few people where it's like, maybe we weren't actually being followed by thousands of people. Maybe we're actually being followed by a couple hundred. And those are our actual fan base. So to me, it's like kind of actually figuring out who you are and, being in a better creative space and stuff like that. So that's, to me, it's like building that's, I don't know. Austin asks, sorry, I did it on my phone. Hey, Jim, what a great show. I also hope you had a good Turkey Day last week. Also, I hope you and the fam been watching more Card the Collector. We had, or just that little bit, but I would like to watch more. My question, I'm working, making my best and worst show list of the year. What advice would you do? What is your advice when you do your list? When I make any list, I will sometimes just look at like, what are the biggest shows? What are the small shows? Look at critics I like. Go through and think of like things I've watched the past year. Just stuff like that. And a lot of people think if you look at other critics, you're ripping them off, or you're being too influenced. That's not, I try not to do that. It just brings up other issues and other questions. But I would just try to go through and just think of like what I watched this past year and how it made you feel. And maybe there's a show you watch in January that, was your obsession for a month. and you haven't thought about it, that doesn't mean it's bad or good. I would revisit big episodes, stuff like that, because there's certain ones like, for example, oh, you meant movies? Did you mean movies? Okay. Sorry. Well, when it's movies, yeah, I look at other critics and stuff like that. But I usually keep a list of what I think are the best movies. But for me, I go through like what I've reviewed this year. I think of like what I've watched. I try to think of stuff like that. So, yeah, that's usually what I do. I hope that was helpful. All right, we're gonna get through a bunch of these in 7 minutes. We have 7 minutes. I'm not doing this past um, one. Sorry about everybody. Okay, Cornbread. Question. Obviously, Captain EO has a long and complex past, least of all costing $30 million for a 17-minute park film. But do you think Captain EO wouldn't be casted to obscurity if they had just had a Katana Wolfman? It would definitely be more important. There's a Wolfman in the opening of Skeleton Crew. I've been actually wanting to tell you this, Cornbread. There's like the opening scene has a prominent Wolfman. I think you should check it out. Pup, favorite bass groove of all time. Either the Gap Band, Put a Bomb on Me. I would say I like Love Cats by The Cure. I used to be able to play that. The Cure has better bass lines than like that and that song from the first Crow movie. I still love playing bass like that. Maybe probably some of the 70s or Prince always had good bass lines. Parliament has good bass lines. But Move Yourself to Dance, is that the Daft Punk song? There's a lot of them. Sorry. I think I gave that. All right. Zane Powers, would Michael Jackson's life had not been fucked up if he wasn't in that Pepsi commercial? That has been suggested. I think to my understanding he was getting sort of weird before that, but I think that didn't help. I do wonder like what he would have been like, but I think the albums would have happened that sort of way they were. So I think yes and no. Jordan Solofalo, what is the best use of the 70s decade in a 90s film? I mean, Pulp Fiction would probably be using that iconography and stuff like that. Or Jackie Brown. Actually, Jackie Brown. Jackie Brown is the best one, 100%. Or the Brady Bunch movie. But it's either Jackie Brown or the Brady Bunch movie. Either or. Zane Powers, how would you feel if the Oscars nominated the same movie in different years, or if they chose a short for Best Picture? That's what us gamers are dealing with the Game Awards. Shorts, I mean, I know like the Red Balloon won Best Screenplay. That has happened in certain categories. I wouldn't mind it if it was a significant short, like either creatively or it made a huge impact and like you couldn't talk about that year without it. I wouldn't be against that. The from a different year, I don't know. I have heard a couple people suggested, and I heard it on a podcast, or we've seen it on Twitter and stuff, the Oscars should do a thing like mid-year where they reevaluate a past year's nominees, and like this is now looking at this year now, this is what we would have done, sort of thing. I think that would have actually been interesting. But I don't know anything about the Game Awards, but I'm not as against it. I think the Oscars need to get weirder and more mains. I think it's like they both need to have like the biggest movie of the year in there, and like let critics pick something fucking weird. Like that's my dream scenario. I didn't watch Return of the Fire. Someone else brought it in, but we did hate the girlfriend, which is not cool. I still feel bad about that. Nathaniel Fogo, favorite music video director turned movie director. I mean, I'd first go David Fincher, but for real, David Fincher was a music video director before I watched MTV. So my two guys, in all honesty, are Gondry and Spike Jonze, but 100% Spike Jonze. Like I was so excited for him to make a movie. And if Belly had been good, I'd say Hype Williams, to be 100% with you. Zane Powers, are you excited for Johnny Depp to come back as Jack Sparrow in a Pirates movie? No, I don't. I think he needs to There were enough of those shitty sequels. We didn't have that. Taco Master, who do you hope Kendrick to make another diss track of? Elon, Trump, Dwayne Johnson. You know what? Fuck Dwayne Johnson. Let's go. He should go for it. Trump, it's like everybody hates him. Come on. But Dwayne Johnson, what does he have on Dwayne? That's the real question. That's the question we should all be asking. Question from Zane Powers. How many diseases must Harry Weinstein be diagnosed with until you forgive him? And side question, how many of you do you think are bogus? I think he's just never took good care of himself. It's coming back to haunt him. I don't know. I'm surprised he's still alive. Zane Powers, is it disingenuous to say Kevin Spacey got his career back since he's been in nothing but low rent? No, he doesn't have his career back. He's done. Question, Zane Powers. Wow, a lot of Zane Powers. Oh, you knew about the Wolfman? Okay, sorry. Is it disingenuous to say Kevin Spacey got his career? I don't know what you talked about. Work, sleep, free time. I should sacrifice one of these things. What should I eliminate? I mean, dream would be work, but I guess it ends up being sleep, doesn't it? Nathaniel Foga, I'm heading to a con tomorrow, and a few of the regular showcasts will be there. Anything you'd want me to ask them? I would ask them, like, do you really think ham boning would save your life one day? That's what I would ask him. Good night, Austin. All right. I'm sorry if you might have said the Wolfman thing before. I was just wanted to tell you because I watched the Ultra. All right. I want to thank everyone for sticking out. I know this was a long stream. I want to thank everyone. I'm sorry about that was scary, and I just wanted to make sure. Question, is this the last question? I guess it is. But I want to thank everyone for your patience and being here. That was something I had to deal with, so I apologize. But I want to thank Bloxy Oxenwinkle, Austin, Taco Master, Zane Powers, Austin, Nathaniel Foga, Zane Powers, and Adela Butterfly for the super chats. I really appreciate it. And cheers to you. I feel fairly confident that there will be a review out tomorrow. Possibly ham or cheese. Probably cheese. Probably some stuff out this weekend. I have like a few reviews that have like, I keep getting close to finishing and then finally. So it's like, I'm hoping to get them all out soon. But we'll see. Anyway, good night. Thank you for being here. We will be, good night to this 3 light bulbs. Thanks, Cardman. We'll be back next week. I think it'll be on a Wednesday. Have good luck Christmas shopping. Was this the longest stream? Hold on. This might end up being, does this get the record? Ooh, it might be. We'll see. Anyway, I need to go do some dishes and stuff. But you all have a good night. Thank you for your support. Thank you for your super chat. Thank you for liking this video. And thank you for watching in general. We'll be back next week. I'll see you then. Have a good night. And subscribe if you would like to. And good night, everybody. Thanks for being here.